It's fall. It's soup season. Thanks for coming back to Busy Life Channel. Today's recipe is going to be something special. Sweet potato lentil soup. Here's the things you're going to need. Lentils, which is a bean or a legume. Cream, heavy cream, sweet potatoes, onion, garlic, spices, and some celery. These are your fundamentals. We'll add some more stuff as we go. Let's get started cooking. First, we're going to take out a cookie sheet. I like to line mine with foil just for an easy, quick cleanup. Again, I'm a busy lady, so I want the easiest route as possible. I'm going to bake these sweet potatoes at 400 degrees until they're fork tender. First, you're going to wash them, prep them, and poke them with a knife just to pierce them to make sure that you can cook them thoroughly. Dredge generously olive oil over the skins. Then you're going to sprinkle some coarse kosher salt or your Himalayan pink salt over your sweet potatoes. And then you're going to add any spices that you prefer. I was going for a sweet, savory soup with this. So I added some pumpkin spice seasoning to this with a little bit of cinnamon. So it already has cinnamon and pumpkin spice. I added a little bit more. And this is my weekend again as I got back home from a long week on my travels. My lovely little glass of Pinot Noir chilling there with me. Well, not chilling, but standing there with me. So here we're going to sprinkle some of that pumpkin spice. Now I would say that I put it generously. I wouldn't say I've layered it, but I've sprinkled well enough to cover it and to give that crust a nice flavor. And as I pierced those sweet potatoes, it will go into the sweet potatoes and infuse in there as it cooks. So now I'm just going to lather them, rub them all up, get them all oily and seasoned. And then I'm going to pop those bad boys into my oven at 400 degrees until they're fork tender. I feel like I was giving them sweet potatoes a massage. I'm trying to get all of those seasoning that had fallen at the ground onto the pan and wrapping them all over the potatoes. Next, I'm going to soak my lentils. Your lentils need to soak. These are small, so they're not like your bigger beans that need to soak for several hours. This should be about 45 minutes. For the amount that I have, it is a half cup of lentils. It should be plenty of time for about an hour as the potatoes cook for these to rehydrate to be a little tender. Now, I personally don't want my beans completely tender where they start to be mushy. I don't want the starch to leach out. I just want them to be a little bit when I can feel them when I bite into them, but yet not hard. I have 3 long stalks of celery that I'm cutting into very, very, very fine chops. I love this time of the year when the nights are getting cooler and you're mostly in the house and you start, I don't even have the heat on yet, but my doors are kind of closed and just getting ready for that next season and enjoying the beginning of fall. And this is my soup season. I'll be making some recipes for more soups, maybe some stews, some chilies. Now I'm cutting up an onion. I'm finely chopping this as well. So 3 long stalks of celery, half of a large onion. I have you could use a white, you could use a yellow or sweet. I tend to always kind of stick to those because they're a little bit more sweeter as I caramelize them. And then I'm going to add some garlic. I have 3 cloves of garlic. I'm going to finely chop these after I remove the skins. Something about fall and that time of the year where just soups are just fabulous. And I think that's why I don't want soup for the rest of the year, because I've just had so many soups in the fall. I've had my soup quota. This is my favorite time to come home and start cooking for these things. So I'm checking my potatoes, making sure that they're nice and fork tender. They still need to cook. I'm going to add some olive oil to the bottom of the pan, maybe about 2 tablespoons. Start adding in your celery, your onions, your garlic, and saute those until they're translucent. And let these seasonings blend. I added a little bit of sprig of thyme, fresh thyme, and my flavor that I added to this was cloves. So those are allspice seasoning, whole allspice. Apologize, they're not cloves, it's allspice. So that was the flavor that I was going for. Here's my little blend of various seasons from my garden, which is basil, thyme, oregano, and I just grind them all together with a little bit of rosemary, and I add this. Now I'm going to saute all of these together until it gets translucent. My sweet potatoes are finally done. Look at those babies. Look at that little flavor start leaching out of the sweet potatoes. Those skins were delicious too, by the way. Now I'm putting in 2 tablespoons of, well, actually with 1 tablespoon of butter. Incorporating that in, and then I'm going to start to remove the sprigs of thyme and getting those allspice out of the soup. They flavored the vegetables and the oil enough at this point. I'm putting in some chicken stock. So it was 2 cups of chicken stock. I also brought my favorite thing that I love to add to all my soups is the Vegeta. Just about every soup I use this. It's the secret for me to all my soups. So I added 3 tablespoons to 1 cup of water with this. And I keep it in a mason jar because I always use it. So there it is, all ready to go in the jar that I had my chicken stock in, and just kind of swirl it all together and make sure you keep it in. Now I'm going to take those sprigs out and the allspice. This just gave it such a nice, savory, sweet flavor. I think it paired with the sweet potatoes really good. It was almost, when I started making the sweet potatoes, and you'll see that part, tasted like sweet potato pie. And I love sweet potato pie. So those lentils are still there. I'm gonna add 2 bay leaves to this. And the bay leaves stay the whole time until I'm done cooking to give it added flavor. So now it's time to remove the skins. You're gonna wanna get rid of those and set them aside. Either snack on them later, or I gave them to my dogs as treats. They loved them. And then you could do 2 things. You could either take these mashed or these sweet potatoes and put them in a food processor, or for myself, I actually used my NutriBullet and just threw them in there. to make my puree that I'm going to incorporate in my soup. I'm gonna tell you, these smelled fabulous. And I'm not a big fan of sweet potatoes. My husband loves them. I mean, he would take them over a regular potato any day. Me personally, I could do without them. Now, I do like them candied yams for the holidays. I do enjoy sweet potato pie, but you know, I'm not gonna be that person that has a sweet potato opposed to a potato. I'll have the opposite. But the way I season these, they tasted so good. I kind of picked at them as I went along, so I was trying not to. You're gonna wanna wait till the potatoes are completely cooled. As you can see, I'm lightly picking because they're still warm. I probably should have let them go a little longer. I probably would have been faster at peeling them. But I was really hungry and I didn't want to wait any longer.
Get out. I want to hear you licking your lips. I hate that. Get out.
And I had 4 rather large sweet potatoes for this recipe. So bear in mind the quantity of what you're going to make reflects on that. So, and I had a full Dutch oven of this soup, which was serving size of 4 adult serving sizes, very hearty serving sizes, and I still had probably 2.5 cups left to put in the fridge for later. Okay. You can see how nicely they caramelized with all those seasonings and the juice from the sweet potatoes. If you could smell it. When I gave a little taste of the puree to my husband, I'm like, okay, tell me how this tastes. And he's like, oh wow, it's almost like pumpkin pie. I'm like, he's never had sweet potato pie. I'm like, that's probably that's what sweet potato pie tastes like. He's like, well, that's good. I'm like, I think you like sweet potato pie. He's never had it. And I've never made one, so shame on me. Okay. Sorry if you see all my hand getting so close. My blender is right over there at the same time, so I'm trying to do things with the blender and get a good view here. I'm using my tripod, bonus to me.
Like I know you usually
Eventually I'll get to those pictures where I can include myself in here, but honestly I wasn't wearing the best clothing. I was just going for comfort. It was a Friday night and I really wanted to cook some good soup, but I wanted to share this recipe because I love it. So here it is. All the puree. Don't mind my kitchen. Take all these whole sweet potatoes, you removed all those skins, and now you're going to transfer it onto your food processor or for your blender. I'm adding a little more cinnamon because a lot of it went on the crust or on the skin, not necessarily all infused here. So use some pumpkin pie spice, some celery salt, and I wanted to have a little savoriness, so I put some ground pepper in there. I used white pepper just because I didn't want the black pepper spices to show up in my soup. I wanted it more neutral. So I put heavy cream in there. I used 3/4 cup of heavy cream, 3/4 to a cup. I'll be honest, it's kind of in between. Depends on how big your sweet potatoes are. So now I'm bringing into that stock recipe that I had made of the soup and incorporating all of the puree in here. This thickened it up. The more you put it in, it thickened up. Now I added the lentils in here. You can kind of see them floating in there. I drained the water and just threw them in here before I added this dippy puree. And here's the final product. Add a little croutons and there you go. Sweet potato lentil soup. I hope you try this and enjoy and come back to see any more fall soup recipes I may have. Thanks again.